Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Joe Tossi from TechTables.com, and you're listening to the Public Sector Show by TechTables. This podcast features human-centric stories from public sector CIOs, CISOs, and technology leaders across federal, state, city, county, and higher education. You'll gain valuable insights into current issues and challenges faced by top leaders. Through interviews, speaking engagements, live podcast tour events, we offer you a behind-the-mic look at the opportunities top leaders are seeing today. And to make sure you never miss an episode, head over to Spotify and Apple Podcasts and hit that follow button and leave a quick rating. Just tap the number of stars that you think this show deserves. Welcome to the Public Sector Show by TechTables. Super excited to have you both here today. Saby, you've been on the podcast. You were now a returning guest.
Oh my God, I must have done something well first time if you invited me again to be on this.
I think it was the $5 gift card.
Guess what?
No.
Guess what? Guess what? Right here for you, man.
Oh.
Right here for you.
Oh, what a pro. What a pro. He thinks I'm giving that back. I'm actually going to put this in my wallet right now. So real quick for Wayne, so he has context. Give Wayne some context.
Yeah.
You're also a public speaker.
That's right.
Okay, tell the audience and Wayne a little context around that.
Yeah, I started my speaking engagement about 10 years ago, became a professional speaker about 3 years ago. So it's fun. I love it, but in a full-time role, I'm a chief information officer and a chief information security officer. That's my full-time gig. And then I get to travel around the globe and speak and do podcasts with amazing folks like Joe here and get to meet you. So it's always fun.
Such an amazing side gig. I love it. And I don't know which of those is considered the side gig, but
Wayne, quick intro for the audience.
my name's Wayne Bridges. I am a senior solutions engineer with Omnissa. Omnissa used to be the end user computing division of VMware. We existed that way from 2004 to 2020. And then where it was acquired by Broadcom, they spun off the end user compute division. So we're an independent company nowadays. I cover state, local government, and education accounts in the central U.S. So part of a 10-man team covering all of SLED in the U.S.
Fantastic. Saby, so you've developed this Scare to Cares framework.
Yes.
Which I listened back. So he got me the rough drafts because I wanted to pull the transcript before we met today. And there's such a funny part where I'm like, Saby, you developed the Scare framework, and you're like, no, it's the Cares framework. Yeah, so I messed that up. It'll actually get cut out, so you won't know it when it actually gets released. But that's helping leaders navigate digital transformation.
Correct.
Break it down for us. What sparked the idea? What is it? And share a story about how this has helped Clackamas Community College.
This all started in 2018. I was working for City of Portland, and my boss was the chief technology officer at City of Portland. One day comes to me and says, Saby, have you ever jumped from a plane? I was like, no. Are you interested? I was like, no. Guess what? I'm assigning you to this project. And that project was implementing City of Portland's permit system. Going for 10 years, failed multiple times. So that project I said yes to. And once we delivered it successfully, I said, this is a great opportunity to help other folks to understand what it takes to deliver these transformations, especially in public sector. So that's where I started this framework, because scare is when leaders are put in that role, they get scared, and sometimes they want to deliver things by creating a culture of fear, by controlling folks, and by micromanaging. And I am telling folks, you have to shift that mindset from scare to cares. And cares is an acronym which stands for communication, adapt, relationships, empowerment, and staying calm, right? So any kind of complex transformation, the biggest piece is people. 84% of these digital transformations fail. 92% of these fail because of people issues. 52% fail because of communication. So what you need to put focus is on people and communication rather than just on technology. So organizational change management is a huge piece of that communication. A stands for adapt. And we know when in public sector, a lot of things can come at you. How are you going to adapt to that? Yesterday it was cloud, today it's AI, tomorrow it's going to be world-ending COVID or something else, right? How as leaders you are going to adapt and still able to deliver on those transformations? And relationships is a key piece for anything. How effective you are in building relationships, whether that's with your vendor partners, whether that's your stakeholders, your sponsors, your team, that's a key piece for any transformation. It stands for empower. And if you're not empowering your team to execute on those transformations, you're going to fail. And then my favorite one is staying calm. Many times as leaders, they when they get into that chaos or in this complex transformations, they get scared. And when they're scared, they're going to show that energy of chaosness over the team, and their team is going to go and spin. So no matter what happens, as a leader, you need to stay calm and deliver those transformations.
Yeah, I love that. That is fantastic acronym. So quick follow-up. There was a ransomware attack a while ago. Your team had, I think, 72 hours to respond.
Yes.
Targeting 10,000 students worth of data. How did the CARES framework help you through that crisis?
Yes. When I initially started this CARES framework, I thought this is for transformation. But then very quickly I realized this could be used even for dealing with any complex challenges which you're having, right? So it stands for, again, communicate. How good are you in communicate? Because when that ransomware attacks, you need to communicate with the media, you need to communicate with the students, you need to have internal communication, and what tools you have in place to make sure that you're communicating, right? Out of band communication. Don't just stay with your regular school email system. You need to create something outside because you don't know if those attackers have control over your email system and they're watching, right? So having that effective communication is such an important piece. Is adapt. Adapt in the thing is when everything goes down and your payroll system is going to be down, your financial aid is down, and people need to get paid. And there are so many things which come along at you. You need to adapt, and how as a leader you can adapt to those challenges, gonna make and break to go through that complex challenge or transformation, whatever that is. And relationships is another, again, going back. You have to have a stronger relationship with Department of Homeland Security, FBI, MSISAC people, your state agencies, your county people, your other higher ed people. Who is on your speed dial? Who are the folks? Because FBI is great, but who are the people who are going to be right there with you because you need boots on the ground? Or how effective is your relationship with your cybersecurity insurance provider? Because those are the folks who have the resources and the team to come and help you with that. It stands for empowerment. Again, are you empowering your team to work on those things? Have you provided a clear direction of prioritization? Work with the business to identify what is the priority for the college? Is payroll system more important than financial aid? What needs to go up first? And then again, staying calm, man. Because when you go through this ransomware attack, it starts initially with a sprint where you and your team is spending about 12 to 14 hours of time sprinting, and then it becomes a marathon. And it still goes on. This happened in January, and we're still working through those challenges. So that's the CARES framework for dealing through this ransomware attack.
Love it. Wayne, so you're helping massive university systems like Texas A&M create these seamless digital experiences. At A&M, students went from juggling 15 plus logins to creating a single unified experience. Walk us through that transformation. What did day one look like versus where we are today?
Yeah, so when you look at a large university system, there's a lot of different silos of tools, of applications that they're using. And in the way that we handle that, you have to have a means of bringing all those tools together into some common broker. The way we do this is to look at, first off, what are you using? How are you accessing it? Where are users logging in? And in many cases, it's a matter of understanding where those different identity providers, those different directories, those different multi-factor tools might be living within the system, and bringing those together in a way that makes sense. So policy-driven means of allowing users access to the resources that they need by consolidating all of those tools and not necessarily eliminating them. There may be a business need for a particular business unit in the school to need that particular identity provider. We see shibboleth a lot, for example, in higher ed. But being able to consolidate those and to set rules for the end users of the customer to be able to consume the resources that they need in the way that makes sense. Looking for security first and foremost, but also an end user experience that's going to be conducive to the way that students want to work, which is typically, I want my resource now.
I would like to add to that because I recently had a conversation with another individual and director of IT for a bigger university, right? And he was talking about there are like 128 different departments And each team have their own tool system. Yes. I was like, what are we talking about? Hundreds of tools. So the work that you're doing is amazing work. Just want to let you on.
The quick follow-up I had for you, Wayne, was we got all these tools, all these logins, but the actual platform, how are you trying to balance that consumer-grade experience that the students are looking for with the enterprise security that everyone's looking for? Which honestly is a kind of a dumb question, because at the end of the day, with the decentralized piece of the university, it's almost an impossible situation, but I'm going to ask you anyways.
It's the Wild West.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right there. What we use is a two-sided tool, right? Think of it as a policy engine on the back end that says, if I'm accessing this resource from this network, then I'm going to do it in this way, right? I'm going to use this authentication mechanism to get to that resource. If I'm getting to it from a different network, then perhaps I'm going to authenticate differently, right? Think of it as internal versus external connections, right? I want MFA on all of my external connections. I want my internal connections to go as quickly as possible to that resource. So when we look at it that way, that handles the security piece, building those policies that tell us that. The end user piece of this is really great because it allows us to build a consolidated catalog of resources for the students, right? For the faculty and the students, so that they can get to those resources in a unified, I don't want to say single pane of glass, because I think that term's overused a lot of times, but that's essentially what we're providing. And that may be access to native applications for whatever device they happen to be using. It could be virtual resources that they're accessing, or the prolific SaaS apps that are out there nowadays.
That's great. So, Saby, the purple cow, you knew it was coming. Purple cow leadership concepts, I love. So for those who don't know, you walk us through what makes a purple cow leader in higher ed and share a time when this was a major win at the college.
All in higher ed, we're going to have challenges, budget challenges, students not coming into the college, but still, how can you still continue to provide those innovative services, but at the same time, take a pause and look at the team and say, what's important? What is the priority for us? Don't run after the coolest tool, which is out there. But let's talk about Purple Cow first, right? So Purple Cow stands for leadership model, a framework for help individuals to stand out. P stands for having a positive mindset. We get about 80,000 thoughts throughout the day. About 75 to 80% of those thoughts are negative. So what you as a leader is doing is shifting those thoughts, right? Not stopping those thoughts, but shifting that mindset to be more positive. Because if you're bringing a positive culture within your organization, your team is going to feel more connected, more productive, rather than just creating that negative culture within the organization. And we have seen that a little bit more post-COVID, where we're seeing a lot of teams are now talking about burnout, having mental health issues. And so that positive mindset is even more important right now. U stands for unchaining yourself. What are your self-limiting beliefs which are stopping you to achieve anything? It stands for relationships. Going back, when I talk about relationships, I say, do you get relationships? Gratitude, empathy, and trust. Those are the three pillars which help to build any relationship. Are you grateful to your team for the work which they are doing? All of us are fighting our own battles, especially post-COVID. You need to take more care of your team and be thankful and recognize the work and respect the work which they are doing so that you can build that effective relationship with them. Empathy is E. Having that conversation with your team member. What can I do to make you successful? Taking that action will help you to build that relationship. And T stands for trust. And if there is no trust, there is no relationship. And then L stands for leadership. When I talk about leadership, I say Sherpa leadership. How you can start asking that question to your team. Hey, what do you like to work on? Right? Maybe your systems engineer is not interested in system work anymore because it's stressing him or her out. How you can start helping that individual. Maybe they like scripting more. Maybe they like automation more. How you can work with that individual to say, what do you like to do and how can I make you successful? So that's very important. And then E stands for energy. What kind of energy you are bringing into the team? Is it the positive energy or is it the negative energy? How are you driving? How are you showing up to the work every day? How are you looking at those challenges to run away? Or are you looking at those challenges as opportunities, say, yes, we can do it. Let's try to figure out a way to do that.
I love that. So Wayne, this made me think, with you and your team, who's the purple cow? How is Omnissa in your organization helping individuals stand out? You don't need to break it down by the acronym, but just who's being a purple cow there?
Of course, Wayne right here, man. Yeah.
I'm not the purple cow. I think much of our leadership is we're out getting in front of people, a lot of people. We're a new brand, not a new company by any means, but definitely a new brand. And I think in a lot of cases, the company has empowered all of us really to tell the company story, to get out there and to be in front of people and to help us to rebrand Omnissa as the company it is today.
And now you're inside the carahsoft booth. Look at this.
Just as a note, one of our primary colors is purple.
Oh, just a high five for that, man. Love it. Love it.
Primary color is purple. I love that. Wayne, so we talked about Texas A&M. I think you mentioned LSU on the podcast intro call. Walk us through how these flagship universities are approaching their digital experiences differently. And we're going to have LSU on tomorrow, by the way. What unique challenges did each of those universities face, and how are you helping them navigate?
Yes, obviously both of them. Large university systems, they're decentralized, so there's a lot of tool sprawl. We see adoption of our own products even in a continuum. There are some who are using one piece of our portfolio, some who are using another. I don't want to get into the product stuff right now, but really the way that we get them onto this journey of digital transformation and start to help them to rationalize those apps, give those users the resources they need, is really by onboarding them. We use this central tool. I mentioned the portal before. Being able to give those users that portal is a big piece. It speaks to customer experience, right? I think that is the key, is that you have to have that winning customer experience. You have to bring those customers in, your end users, your students, your faculty, so that they're seeing this as the means by which they consume those resources. Then on the back end, there's lots of moving parts, right? Maybe it's digital desktops or virtual desktops that they're bringing in, right? And we integrate that into this portal so that when users consume those resources, they're going to the same place. The interesting note of this is that because these are distributed organizations, oftentimes there's different branding across different schools. That can be a challenge many times for organizations, but we have the built-in resources there to allow for that branding so that I get my colors for my particular school. I'm seeing my logo. I'm getting to my homepage when I click on a link within the portal. So that familiarity for the students, along with authenticating in the same way that they always have, just through this centralized marketplace, becomes a little more of a win for those organizations. In other cases, it's a matter of compliance, security. We want to lock down devices, and at the same time, we're able to manage those devices. The portal application that lives on the device also acts as the agent. So I have another win there in that not only is it providing policy for me, it's providing that security on the device side.
The brand identity is such an underrated piece, 100%, because for a lot of folks, they think brand is the nice color or it's purple. It's actually how Saby makes you feel when he gives a talk. When you come on the podcast, it's the whole experience before, it's the experience after. You end up on TechTables.com, you're in the promo video, right? The entire experience. It's Tim looking fresh over there right now. Yeah, it's the entire experience. But seriously, even within a school and any platform, if you've just got a bunch of different disjointed experience and design and there's no brand guideline, it just fumbles the whole thing. So nothing worse for me. And we actually had, not you so much, but at Seattle City Hall, we had a great podcast with the entire, basically product and design team at Seattle, the city of Seattle IT, and just how they think about product and shipping to users. And they have an entire portfolio of City of Seattle logos that are a little bit different. The mayor's got one, The Seattle IT has one. Each department has their own that kind of rolls up into the larger brand, which is so good. I actually have the podcast named The Public Sector Show by TechTables for a reason. It used to be called the TechTables Podcast, but I may not always host this podcast. I may host several other podcasts, or other people will co-host with me. So maybe Saby, because he's so good, maybe he'll co-host with me. And so then there are different, maybe there's a CISO podcast by TechTables, right? So there's this whole kind of brand identity, but even for colleges and universities, it's so important.
It is, especially the newer generation. They have that eye for that brand, right? So if you're disjointed, they're not gonna feel connected to your organization. So putting that focus in there is such an important piece. And recently I got an opportunity to get to know an organization who put so much effort in brand. And even before, they hire a design anthropologist. Think about that. I was like, wow, that is next level, right? Giving so much focus on. So totally right, and providing that focus on brand awareness.
And it's great for recruiting. It's great for hiring, both recruiting students and faculty, but even now it's so important to have that critical eye to detail. And anyways, thank you for sharing that, Wayne. That was super great. Saby, looking at the rapid pace of change in higher ed, and you've got a front row seat. You're right there. AI, automation, cybersecurity, design, product, that guy. How are you preparing Clackamas Community College for what's next? And what are you most excited about in the future?
Yeah, I'm very excited about the opportunities which AI is providing and is gonna provide us. It is totally changing the way we look at work and how we respond to work, but also at the same time, it's scary to see how threat actors are gonna use that to damage a particular organization. Yes, there is so much going on within any community college or any higher ed, but what are you doing? What are those small steps you are taking right now to help you to take that leap, right, in the future? So we're doing small proof of concepts with AI-based chatbot tool, where we can say, okay, this is a great one, right? Somebody has an issue. Hopefully, there is a self-serve where they are able to resolve that issue by themselves. But let's say if they're not able to resolve that issue, they submit a ticket, and it goes to a tech person, support tech, and even before going to the support tech, AI bot has that information and looks at all that information and what's going on with that particular individual and that particular machine, and has all the data and has already provided a recommended solution, and gives to your tech and say, this is what I recommend. So all your tech is doing is, okay, has done all the legwork which was supposed to be done by them, saving so much time so that they can focus on higher value things. That is what excites me right now. We are using AI for cybersecurity. Anytime somebody submits, we get a phishing email. Who doesn't get phishing email? Thousands of
Get them all the time. Yeah.
all the time, right? So there was this, so every time we get a phishing email, we ask our folks, hey, forward this, or we have a submit phish button, right? Every time all those emails will go, and there was this tech person who was looking at each and every email to figure out whether that's a phish or whether that's a real thing. It was taking so much of their time. So we use now AI to where we grab that email. It's not fully automated yet. That's my vision. It's gonna get there, right?
Yeah.
But grab that email for now, run it through an AI-based tool. AI-based tool will analyze that particular threat, will go and provide a step-by-step process, and then also draft an email back to the user saying, hey, this is what I found in easy-to-read English, no technical jargons, anything, so that they can understand it, and then able to say, here are the few things which you should not be doing, right?
Yeah.
So that's taking so much of the time, like productive time, to my support tech to do other productive work. So I'm very excited about automation, AI, and other things. But at the same time, I also want to emphasize, take care of the team. There's so much going on right now, and there's so much coming in. What is your priority? And putting that focus, working with the business to understand what is the priority. Maybe for some, chatbot may not be the priority because student-facing technology is in some kind of a hole. That's much more focused. So work with them, identify those things so that we can make it beneficial for our end users who are basically students.
I love it. That's fantastic. Wayne, any closing thoughts?
So I'm very excited to hear what you're doing up there. It's pretty exciting stuff, and it's great to meet you, Saby. I'm a big fan now. I wasn't before. I didn't know you before. I apologize.
Thank you, man. Okay, just for that.
Is there a $5 gift card in there?
Just for that, man.
The fan now.
You're a fan.
Now I'm your biggest
Anybody
fan.
who's a fan gets a Starbucks gift card. That's how we do it. That's how we do it, right?
That's how we do it.
That's how we do it.
That's how we do it.
That's how it was done. Thank you for having me, Joe. This has been a highlight for the show so far. I'm looking forward to seeing how bad this came out. I'm not a public speaker. Definitely excited to see the show and to tell all my friends to either look or avoid based on what I see.
So this is your very first podcast.
On video.
Yeah, very first. That's awesome.
Man, you did amazing, man. Wayne, I'm telling you.
Thank you. You
Yeah.
did amazing.
No, thank you. Thank you.
So you're almost done. You're not quite out yet, but we're almost there. Wayne, who else should come on the show? Who else should be telling their story? Who comes to mind?
I think it's some of these big university systems who just need the exposure of what they're doing, because they're the ones truly doing the transformation out there. They're the ones taking all of these parts and looking to make something out of them and looking to tell a cohesive story in their branding and their user experience. I think that's the right answer, and I can refer you a ton of those if you'd like.
Oh yeah, Saby. Who else should come on the pod?
Okay, I'm going to tell I'm a big fan of Andrea Bollinger. I want her here.
Okay.
And the reason for that is she's the CIO for Oregon State University.
Okay.
Okay, there are two reasons for that. One, you're wearing the orange color, which is the color for Oregon State
The
University.
Beavers.
The Beavers. The Beavers go Bees, right?
I'm not a Beaver.
Oh, man, that's okay.
I know, but
You're
the
wearing
orange.
the color.
the
right? So that's the number one reason,
Okay.
right? You connect right there with the brand right there, number one. Second, she's doing an amazing job. Recently, I'm part of SIM Portland chapter.
Yep.
So I'm the president of SIM Portland chapter. So we give awards like Oregon CIO of the Year and Oregon CISO of the Year award. This year, Andrea Bollinger won the CIO, Oregon CIO of the Year award.
I love it.
She is a rock star, and I want her to be here.
So we got to get her on the podcast. I'm here till tomorrow, till whatever, 5 p.m., something like that. Something random like that. Yeah. Yeah, no, this was awesome. I appreciate you both coming on the Public Sector Show by TechTables.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, absolutely. Always have an amazing time, man.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Joe Tossi from TechTables.com, and you're listening to the Public Sector Show by TechTables. This podcast features human-centric stories from public sector CIOs, CISOs, and technology leaders across federal, state, city, county, and higher education. You'll gain valuable insights into current issues and challenges faced by top leaders. Through interviews, speaking engagements, live podcast tour events, we offer you a behind-the-mic look at the opportunities top leaders are seeing today. And to make sure you never miss an episode, head over to Spotify and Apple Podcasts and hit that follow button and leave a quick rating. Just tap the number of stars that you think this show deserves.